So here's an interesting question for you. What do Leeds United, Newcastle United, and Tottenham Hotspur all have in common? They all have fewer league titles than Sunderland AFC. Now, the last time Sunderland won the league was 1936. It's been a very long time since they were legitimately competing for league titles. That being said, it's a club that absolutely deserves to be in the top flight. And it's been quite the journey for Sunderland fans since they got relegated in 2017. From then immediately getting relegated into League One to losing a playoff final, then winning a playoff final after a few seasons in League One, going to the playoffs in their first season back in the championship, losing to Luton Town, then having an off season before seeing this young squad shoot up the table for a few weeks, even go on top of the table before kind of falling off a bit in the second half of the season and definitely in their last few games, but still doing plenty enough to finish fourth and get a playoff spot, winning against Coventry in the 122nd minute at the Stadium of Light to then make it to this game. And from that explanation, you can probably surmise that I was rooting for Sunderland in this game. I'm kind of tired of seeing Sheffield United in the Premier League now. Whilst it was really exciting the first time they went up, and especially in that first year under Chris Wilder, where they were actually competing at a really high level and almost made it to Europe, that was pretty fun to watch. But since then, Sheffield United have been really poor, and it's been just kind of boring to watch them go up and lose every game and immediately go back down. And it's not really Sheffield United's fault. They've just kind of become one of the teams that's yo-yoed between the Championship and Premier League because of parachute payments. And with how strong the Premier League is, and how strong the relegated teams are becoming in the championship, I imagine Sheffield United will be back in time. But it's nice to see that Sunderland were the team to end up getting promoted. And I had thought that Sheffield United were probably going to win this game. They're definitely the stronger team on paper. But right away, Patterson was not letting Sheffield United get anything, immediately making a crucial save, and it maybe looks easier than it actually is to, from a standing position, get down, get your hand down on a shot that goes past you. It was a really strong, well-directed header down to the left side of Patterson, and that's not an easy save to make, but he did make it, and that's crucial. Right from the get-go, he's setting down that sort of precedent that those are the saves he's going to make in this game. And so Sheffield United were always going to have to work really hard to get a goal. I do think, especially in the first half, Sheffield United were the better team, even when Sunderland had more of the possession, because the quality of chances were vastly superior from Sheffield United than what Sunderland was getting. It took Sunderland a very long time to figure out how to break through Sheffield United's line. And it was on a counterattack that Sheffield United scored a really well-worked counterattack and a really nice assist on the goal where ultimately it just dinked over the goalkeeper and into the net. A good counterattack, great assist, and a nice finish that put Sheffield United ahead. And at that moment, I kind of just thought this game was probably going to be over, especially when they had a 1-0 lead to defend at halftime, because Sheffield United could go into the second half knowing they didn't necessarily need to score. They just needed to make sure that Sunderland didn't, as they were up 1-0. And in the first 60 minutes, there was really nothing that made me think that Sunderland was going to get that goal. They were really struggling to break through Sheffield United's defense. And then the nightmare moment happened. It was almost 2-0. And once again, Patterson came up big on a one-on-one, saving it with his feet. And the app I use to follow scores usually, it gave Patterson a 6.3 match rating for this game, which is criminal. He's pretty much the reason that Sunderland won, because it very easily and very often would have been either Sheffield United taking the lead within minutes of the game starting if he hadn't got down and made an exceptional save there. And they probably would have put the game away, and maybe should have, but once again, he made a crucial save. I don't know how you can give him a 6.3 rating when he made two insane saves that pretty much saved his team from another season in the championship. And so then finally the goal came for Sunderland. and they only needed one chance. They finally figured out how to get past Sheffield United's defense. Mayenda made a great run and then had a routine finish. Not a bad finish by any means, like a pretty solid finish, but it was really the run, I think, that was commendable from Mayenda. He actually blew the only really good chance Sunderland had in the first half, where there was a great cross into him and he had a headed opportunity and put it wide, but he more than redeemed himself with that goal. And all of a sudden, from not looking like they could score at all, Sunderland were in the ascendancy on the front foot. And I actually thought that, I mean, for most of the game, I didn't think they were going to score, but once they got that one, I then thought they could get maybe even one or two goals after that. And it did come. It took a long time, but the 94th minute, Sunderland seemingly just having a knack for scoring in the most dramatic circumstances very near the end of the game. Tommy Watson, with a long effort, low drilled into the net, sends Sunderland into delirium, and with it secures a spot in the Premier League for the first time in 8 years. And that's really exciting. I assume Sunderland are going to go down because that's what's been happening to promoted teams recently. There's a very real chance that Leeds and Burnley also go down immediately. Like, that's just what's been happening. As I said before, Sheffield United is probably going to be fine. I assume soon enough they'll be back in the Premier League. Leeds United lost the playoff final last year and ended up getting promoted fine this season. Like, that's kind of the frustrating part of the English footballing system right now, because we just see the same clubs getting relegated and getting promoted, and this is happening now more than ever. And Sunderland could very well become one of those teams now. But if we're going to see teams get relegated right away, which, again, there's a very real chance that is what's going to happen, it's nice to see Sunderland, a new team, make it instead of just Sheffield United again. Sorry, Sheffield United, I'm just a bit bored of you. This is probably like a win or go bust game. I mean, not necessarily, but it could end up becoming that for Sunderland, because they weren't very good in the second half of the season. And had they lost this game, there was a very real possibility that some of their best players get snatched up by Premier League teams and they don't have nearly as strong a squad next season. Plenty of teams have lost the playoff final and ended up going down to League One within a few years. It's happened to Reading and Derby County. So, like, it's a good thing that Sunderland won, I think, because it could very well go bad for in due time. So, new blood in the Premier League, wear-time derbies in the Premier League again. And that's actually the first time since 2016, because Newcastle went down that year, and then they did get promoted, but Sunderland got relegated. So we haven't seen a wear-time derby since 2016, and that's also really exciting. I think this is the best result that could have happened. I'm quite excited for Sunderland to see what can happen, even if they do get relegated right away. I'm certainly happier that they were the ones who got promoted today, or yesterday.